Hey everyone, it's Jackie and Poiab. We are filming outside today in beautiful Bali. We wanted to do this in front of the beach for you, and Poiab was just saying, I think our viewers will like it. So you're welcome.
Yeah, wanted to give you a treat.
Yes. But today's episode, what we're going to talk about on the Shameless Truth is really a intense hot topic for people nowadays getting married, being part of weddings or things of that sort. And we've seen a lot of therapists, and we wanted to discuss, are people more selfish now with how they're getting married or weddings, things of that sort, compared to 40 years ago, so around like 1984, 1985 time. So Haya, right off the bat, what do you think about this question? Are people more selfish now compared to 39, 40 years ago? Or what are your thoughts just right away?
Okay, so I'm older than you.
Yep.
And so,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm older than you, and I was alive way before like social media. And I would say even the last, 10, 12 years, things have changed for weddings, where I think weddings have gotten so more, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it's more of a show now than before, where doing therapy, a lot of our clients come and say, I have this friend, I have this sister, I'm part of this group, and I have all these things that I need to do. I don't have enough PTO, I don't have enough money. And when they tell me these things, I'm just like, wow, that's a lot to do. And that's for one person. Imagine if you had 2, 3, 4 people that you had to do this for, and you had to spend all the money, the dresses, the bachelorette, the bachelorette party that is like in Mexico or Hawaii. It's really extravagant now. Back when people were getting married, okay, so I'm like 40.
Back in your day.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
People would just get a party bus and like go to different bars and have a good time. But now they're so extravagant. It's like renting an Airbnb, and it's like a few days, and that's just one of the parties. That doesn't include 3, 4 other parties for one wedding party. And yeah, I think it's gotten a little bit more extravagant. And is it selfish? Perhaps.
That's such a Libra answer. She doesn't like to answer the questions yes or no. She's such a politician, I swear. So that's a yes.
Yes, that is a yes. I do
okay,
say.
Got it.
I do say. And I think it's because, just a self-disclosure out there. I'm child-free. I'm not married. So when I hear these things, there's a lot of entitlement.
Yeah, there is a lot of entitlement, and I love that you said that too, and I love that you were vulnerable and shared with our audience, because I know you, but not everybody knows you that could be tuning into this. And I think with what you said too, with being older and like taking it back to the land before time,
the land before Instagram, but it was just Facebook,
social media, and comparing and looking and doing all these things, and it's out there, and people maybe like feeling, wow, I'm jealous, or I want to do that, or that would be fun, and everything like that. Like, yeah, it's gotten out of hand. I agree with you. And I do agree with you too that I really do think it is selfish. Absolutely. And I didn't even think about the point of, we've talked about this, but you brought up another great point around, imagine if you had to do that for like 3 or 4 weddings, like in one summer or 1 year or whatever. And the cost of being in a wedding, like when I looked this stat up, like before the pandemic years ago, it was anything around like $1,300, and now I can't imagine what it is now. And so it's like that's thousands and thousands of dollars that people are financially spending too. And you and I have talked about this. I think about I'm not married either, but he's like my brother-in-law, whatever. Been in a relationship for almost 7 years, my partner now. I think of Evan, and shout out to you, Evan. Hi, if you're watching this.
Hey, Evan.
But he is, and I just got done with my Gemini reading, so I'm like, this is maybe why I want to say it too today. So, but really, like, Geminis are misunderstood because they're always on the go and go and go. But people don't realize how good of friends and family members they are, because they show up for all these fucking weddings. And I thought about Evan, like he was telling me this summer, I think, or this year, he had like 3 or 4 weddings. And I was like, holy shit, are you traveling back to Minnesota? Are you, because he lives in another state, are you going here? Are you going there? Are you going here? And I was like, damn, Evan, you're a good friend. And so I was like thinking about that too. I don't think he's in some of these weddings. He can comment below and be like, bitch, I'm not in all these weddings or whatever. Or, yes, I am, or whatever, right? But like, he's buying plane tickets. He's having to like hustle for maybe rides potentially, or other people that are going to weddings, stay at a hotel, you know, or drive his car that many hours, or do whatever. And he's also not married. And so he's like younger than me. I don't remember how old you are. But he's really doing a lot. And he's just a very good friend too. And he's getting these gifts and doing all that stuff as well. So I just love that you brought up the thing about it's expensive. Think if you had the 3 or 4 weddings, and if you were in 3 or 4, or just even like as a single person, as a guest, it's a lot of work too. And I think, you know, for women especially, and y'all can say you got it twisted if you don't agree with me. I think for women especially, women have to, or get to, however you want to look at it, go to the engagement party, or throw an engagement party, or go to the bridal showers, and then there's multiple. Then you get like 2 or 3 gifts depending on the showers, and then there is the bachelorette party, which is another gift. Then there's a wedding, which is another gift, and then it's like if you are a part of the actual party, then you're buying the dress, buying the clothes, doing the hair, doing the makeup. If you, depending on the bride, of course, and if they want you to do that or not, and they don't give a fuck, right? For the wedding and the vibe. But it is a lot, and there's so many weekends that you just take out in a year, and sometimes that's also like going dress shopping, or alterations, or fittings, or whatever. People don't realize how much time and energy that is. And when I was a personal attendant in a wedding, I told you this earlier today, someone told me, you're a personal attendant, like, holy fuck, you're doing a lot, you should be getting paid for this shit. And like, it is a lot. And that was just the one day of the wedding. Like, that wasn't all the other stuff of like going to the dress fitting, showing up for other things and whatever. And, you know, I'm glad, and I was thankful to be asked as a personal attendant. I was flattered, and I did it. And it was lovely and everything like that. And I'm also like, do people realize what they're asking? Because you and I have had conversations about marriage, and I said this in the other, you know, episode, like, I don't know if people actually realize what they are committing to and what they are talking about. And so it's just really interesting with that dynamic. So I love the points that you brought up. I also agree it's gotten out of control and selfish, and I don't know, I can shut up and pause, and if you want to go and comment back, and I can get back to my thoughts on it, but it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you know, Jackie, when you mentioned all those gifts, I'm like, oh my gosh, right. There's so much gift giving that you have to give, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I've talked to other people who were in weddings or who got invited, and, you know, some of the gifts that people are asking is just fucking outrageous.
$500 for
$800
vacuums, or espresso machine, or a Roomba,
right. And I'm thinking, I don't even give myself these things. I don't even buy myself these things, and people are asking for all these extravagant gifts. And I spoke about this, the entitlement, and what is it about that married couples are not feeling more entitled? To me, I feel that if you're going to get married, you shouldn't have to rely on other people to give you things for your house. I feel that you should be part of your life where you can give yourself all those things, and that if you want to have a wedding, have people come and celebrate with you, not to support you, buy you all these things that you want as a way for them to buy it for you, so you don't have to buy it for you.
Yes. Can I shamelessly share how you said it once to me?
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on people to support my lifestyle. Or you said it very shamelessly and to the point. It was so direct, and it's like, whoa, mind blown. I don't remember, but it was something of that sort. I was like, damn, like, I don't have to rely on other people's money for my happiness. My happiness isn't also based on a marriage. And if people are just asking for these extravagant gifts, it is selfish in a way. And some people don't do that, and I get that. We recognize that too. We get it that some people are like, we don't need or want anything. You know, give us money for our honeymoon. Give us money for, you know, this activity on our honeymoon, or our house, or whatever. And I also say this. I also say this. People need to start creating a marriage therapy budget. If you want all the fucking stuff and shit and whatever, and you end up getting a divorce, because it's 50 fucking 50, y'all. We'll talk about divorce and other shit in another episode, but like, that's one of the things where, do you actually want your marriage or do you want the stuff?
Yeah.
Because that says a lot too. And I've never seen that at a wedding. Like, help us, build our therapy budget.
No.
Because you're going to have conflict. You're going to have to work on it. And I'm sorry, not sorry. Like, a vacation is not going to solve that.
No, a vacation's not going to solve that.
Escape it. And then are you actually going to be having really heart-to-heart difficult conversations with your spouse at that time?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be more of a partner and be in it with you and be a teammate and move forward and figure out what's the play, what's the plan? So, yeah, I think one of the biggest things and one of the hardest things that I've had to do when it comes to weddings, I've been maid of honor 4 times.
Ooh.
Yep. And
that's a lot.
One was like 10 plus years ago, and it was back in the day where you just rent a hotel room, or I wasn't 21 yet, and like it was actually kind of fun because it was laid back, mellow, chill. All the 20 plus 1-year-olds, like, we went to the Chino Latino, and then we dressed up, got cute, it was fun, and like had yummy food and dinner. It was a big bachelorette party, right?
Yeah.
And 21-year-olds went back and they went out, whatever, and then underagers just like went to the hotel and like hung out, and we actually got to know each other, and I like that so much better. And nowadays, like, I've actually like gotten into like fights with people in regards of brides. You know who you are out there, you know who you've been in my life, everything like that. And not even fights, but just conversations, and like me shamelessly saying, this is not something at this time that I can afford, and I'm your maid of honor. And when we changed the plan, we had this plan, and now you want to do a travel bachelorette. I was in grad school. I was a recruiter at the time. And I was doing internship.
Okay.
And I was doing my sex therapy education. So I was at 2 universities. And I'm like, literally, I cannot afford to do a travel bachelorette party. So if y'all want to go for it. And you changed the plan. So that's not on me. But it's one of those things where I wish people were more considerate of where other people are at in their life. I had to pay out of pocket for 2 separate schools and universities because I was part-time. And so I was like, damn. And so I had to have a hard conversation with that bride. I owned my shit. I said, I'm sorry for whatever I really needed to apologize for hurting her feelings. And I also said, I think it's really selfish, though. I think it's very selfish to ask all these women to go for your weekend. Not everybody knows everybody. And it's like, people have budgets for vacations. Budgets to just be like, let's do a travel. And if you do, that's cool. Good for you. I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. So it's a hard boundary of mine. And before that, I was going to actually do the whole bachelorette for a different wedding. I was just a guest. I was like, I'll go on a bachelorette, like getaway, whatever. And they ended up calling off the wedding. And we couldn't get refunded the money.
For the bachelorette party?
Yes. For paying for everything.
Oh, no.
And so I was like, I'm not ever doing this again. Never. And especially with 50-50, no. So after that, it really challenged me to be very firm on my boundaries and set this with friends. But like, I don't talk to that friend anymore. And then the next time I was maid of honor, and I got demoted at her wedding. I didn't stand next to her. So she was very passive aggressive. Very Minnesota passive aggressive, right? And this is one of the things where people might be like, damn, girl, you're really talking shit on this person. I've had a conversation with them. They know what they did. They put it out there. And quite honestly, like, losing friends over a wedding also says a lot. And I'm also not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a house that I own or anything like that. But that doesn't mean I don't have a life. And that doesn't mean just because you're doing the American dream doesn't mean you can't be a friend to us single people who actually supported your wedding, was there for all those fucking days, and did so many nice things for you. And that was one. And then I made I spent so much time on this, of gorgeous letters that like you give to the bride, and it's like a scrapbook, and the groom, and then they keep it, or the groom and the groom, the bride and bride, whatever. And it's a nice memento. And I'm like, thinking about this, I was like, if I don't get married, I will never get this from people. But I was like, even if I got married, I don't think people who were actually at my life at that time would have even thought, wow, Jackie's a very sentimental person. So it's really interesting, the people that do and don't actually know you, but then want to maybe use you because Jackie will take care of you.
Right.
And then the next wedding I was in, when I was maid of honor, what do you think about travel bachelorette parties? And I had this gut intuitive feeling hit. I was like, fuck my life. And I honestly said, I think they're selfish and they are all about just random ass people coming together, and it's a commitment. It's a lot of money. I'd rather give you $1,000 or $1,500 than have to like go and travel and then come back and be ungrounded in regards of like, you know, the work week ahead or whatever. And then the other, now I'm maid of honor for another friend. And I had to have a hard conversation with her too of like, hey, you know, I mentioned that this would be really cool if we did Salem for your bachelorette, but like, honestly, my bad. I'm sorry I put that out there. And honestly, it's not going to work because it's going to be all booked up. But I have a firm policy of, you know, not doing travel bachelorette parties like out of the state or on the plane or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I owned like my self-sabotage in that conversation because I did, right? And then she was like talking to me about it and she was like, okay, got it. And I was like, honestly, if you don't want me to be your maid of honor anymore, like that's fine. And I support you. I just don't want to lose another friendship over fucking wedding dumbass drama. So, and she understood it and she got it. And so I think sometimes too, when you hear these things from your clients, or when I hear things from my clients, I really tell them, have a conversation. Because people don't know your finances, B, don't know how you're feeling, and C, they need to hear you out because they're asking a lot of you. And
they are.
With that part too, it's buck like to just keep going and doing all these very extravagant things for weddings. And you don't even know if the people are going to be together. And we actually, when we were on the way to Bali here, there was this guy behind us in line back at home through the airport, getting through security. And I don't know how we got to talking.
We were walking because we had to do walk by 2 by 2, and it looked like a wedding march. And I was partnered with him. And then like, did he say like, oh, this is good practice? Or? He said, oh, this is good practice for the wedding that I'm in. And we're like, oh, okay, you're going to a wedding. And then he casually said, yeah, this is like my friend's third wedding. I don't know. And we kind of chuckled. We were like, okay, this would be a great thing to talk about.
And I was like, damn, you're a good friend.
You did say that.
I wouldn't do that. And quite frankly, like if anybody gets married a second time, like I probably wouldn't go to that person's wedding. Like I take marriage so fucking seriously to the point of like, I haven't made that commitment to my partner because I know how important that is and what it actually means, where I'm not just going to be fucking around and be around my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth, my sixth marriage. Hell no. And that's selfish of me to then ask all these people to take all that time, money, and energy again
to fly, you know, time, PTO, money, energy. The plane was delayed.
It was. We were on that fucking plane for like 4 or 5 hours.
It should have been only an hour flight, and our flight waiting was longer. And so think about that, the energy to get to a wedding where it's delayed.
And then there was also a bride and a person of her bachelorette party or her friend on the plane too. And they were like, oh my gosh, everyone's already there. And they were sitting in the row in front of us. And I was like, I texted Patty, I was like, could you imagine after getting off of this plane, like going out and drinking and partying after just this shit show? And she was like, hell no.
I said, hell no.
And one of the biggest points that I want to make, and then I'll be done off on my tangents. But one of the biggest points that I want to make is when I've talked to friends and other people about weddings and bachelorette parties, I've said back in my parents' day, and probably your parents' day, a lot of people didn't know this. Bachelorette parties were actually to make the couple that was getting married money. So it was kind of like a fundraiser sort of thing. It was not to travel and just go all over the place or whatever. There would be ways that people would creatively try to make money for the bride and the groom so then they could help pay for the wedding. And so it wasn't about all the stuff, all the materialism, all the things. And
wait, it's not about strippers?
No.
Oh my god.
It's not about strippers.
It's not about strippers, apparently, guys.
She's in love with the stripper.
I'm in love with the stripper.
Get it? But no, I'm just like, and when I tell people that, they're like actually shocked. They're like, I had no idea. And I'm like, we need to fucking talk about this then and just put it out there because it's ridiculous. And I remember my dad telling a story about someone getting married. And this was probably in the 80s. Okay. Just for context.
Okay.
But he apologized to the guy that he was best man in the wedding for. He was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I only made you like $500. He was like, that's great. Like, that's a ton of money. And so I'm just like, could you imagine if people did the opposite and actually help their friends like raise money or give back in that way rather than just let's go out and get drunk or travel or shop or go to this concert, go to this thing, have this activity, and like then you're covering all the expenses of the person who's getting married there too. So
question for you. Again, I haven't had a bachelorette party for a very long time. So does the maid of honor pay for the bride to go on the trip, or does the bride pay for her own bachelorette party?
It's a good question. Maid of honor / the rest of the girls, as long as they're willing to chip in.
Okay.
So yeah, it just really depends on the women or the people that are going.
Okay.
And what, like, if everyone's cool with it or not. Okay. So you just text and be like, hey, this is the split between this many people. I don't know if y'all are willing to chip in for Poiab, who's getting married here. It would be this much extra money or whatever, right? And so it just depends. But like, even when it was back in the day when before, it was just at the point in time when travel bachelorettes were like starting.
Yeah.
I remember talking to somebody at work when I was working, and she was there in the morning. I was there in the morning. She was like, Jackie, oh my God, can I tell you something? I was like, yeah, what's going on? She was like, I'm in this, not a friend's wedding, but I'm going to her bachelorette party. I'll go to her wedding, right? But she was like, it's $150 for the entire weekend to go to this cabin for all the food, all the meals, all the whatever. She was like, that's expensive. And this was probably, how many years ago was that? Like 6 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
It was pre-pandemic, maybe 6 or 7. Or 8.
With a group of women?
Yeah. And I was like, damn. Like, I look back at that and I'm like, I wish it was only $150.
Yeah. Now it would have been like, what, $500-$600?
Right. Well, even more sometimes too, depending on the Airbnb, the flights, if you do travel, or if it's just like in town or someplace, and all the things. And you really have to, again, I think if you are going on a bachelorette party, you really have to ask, like, what am I committing to, and get details first and understand, like, what are the rates and what am I expected to pay for this? Yeah. So makes it hard.
Yeah. And another thing I've heard from other clients who are going in these big groups is like, if I'm going to spend that much money, I want to go with people who I actually like and actually know. And when you're in a big group, you're forced to mingle with other people or do things that you don't even want to. So clients like, I don't even want to go because there's like 12 other girls or 12 other women. We're doing this. I just don't even want to do it. It's more of a chore than an actual fun trip. And so, if you're going to spend that much money, you want to enjoy your time and not dread it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think men are more chill.
Yes.
And I think they also don't care as much to make a big deal about things, but women, like, we have different needs. And I think every woman's needs is also different within that, which then also makes it even more complicated sometimes and challenging and hard then too. So there's just a lot with that one as well. Like, wanting to be able to go and actually, like, why am I going to go with a group of randos that I don't know versus like go with people that I actually love? And it's also like, when was the last time that person actually got to take a vacation with a group of family members or friends? Maybe never.
And then they have to take time off to go on this trip. There's a lot of resentfulness, and then relationships. Relationships can make and break after weddings.
Yes, absolutely. And I told you this, I made the executive decision too, like, after this wedding, like, I'm done being maid of honor. I'm done being a part of anybody's weddings out there. Like, I don't want to do it. And if I ever get married, I probably wouldn't have any fucking bridesmaids or anything like that. If anything, I'd probably just ask my brother to be like my man of honor or something like that, because that's my brother and I love and care about him, and he's been with me my whole life and vice versa. So why would I ask a random ass friend that I don't even know if I'm going to have a relationship with them in the future? And again, like, yes, that could happen with my brother too, and it hasn't yet. So why? Like, and you and I were looking at Instagram and how there's so many fucking trolls on there. It was like a woman that was saying, I decided not to have bridesmaids or a maid of honor or anything like that for my wedding day. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. Yeah. And Poiab was like, look at the comments, look at the comments. And I was like, okay. And she was like, there's some fucking trolls. And I was like, oh my God. And there were hairdressers commenting on this post, and they were like, I've heard this, and honestly, it's the best decision, because you wouldn't imagine and realize how many of these bridesmaids, maid of honors, or people of wedding parties are just talking shit. Yeah. So I was like, do you really want to have people in your wedding that are talking shit about you? Yeah. Like, and also, like, then who are your friends that are being a part of your big day? Yeah. And it's like, are you going to be friends with them at the end of the day too? But then people would be like, oh my gosh, I would be so offended if I didn't get asked to be your maid of honor or your personal attendant or your bridesmaid. And it's just, or man of honor, whatever, your groomsman, your best man, like your usher, like all these things. Yeah. And just like, why? Like, if anything, that's a gift of time. Hallelujah. Yep. So that one's wild. Other thoughts, you know, again, I'm older, so because I'm older, I feel that if you're gonna get married, I feel that you should have your shit together, emotionally, financially, and that you're not relying on everybody else to build you your life. That if you're gonna get married, you are building your own life. You're not relying on anybody else to get. I mean, it's great if like they could give you whatever, but don't expect it. And I think a lot of brides and grooms are now expecting all these extravagant gifts for the wedding party. And it's like, wait a minute, you're asking us to attend, or you're asking us to give you all these gifts. Fund your life.
Yeah, fund your life. And it's like, if you want to fund your life, fund your own damn life. Don't ask me to fund your damn life. So I'm to the point in my life where if you're going to get married, please fund your own life. And if you're going to have a wedding, enjoy it. Have people come and celebrate with you, not expecting them to fund your life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I know you're older, but I believe that, and I'm younger, so I agree with you on all of those points. So there's nothing on age with that one, girl. But I totally agree with what you said, and with where I'm at. And again, I think I said something to you yesterday about like how, a lot of people in their 40s learn this, in your 30s you learn this. And I was like, I feel like I've been learning this shit like my mid to late 20s. And I'm just like, I'm setting boundaries and protecting my energy, my peace, and my money. And people that just might want to use me because, oh, Jackie's so caring and she's got her shit together, so she's going to be able to do this for me. So that's why I decided no more weddings after this. Yeah. And I also decided I've got a big ass Polish family on. My big fat Greek wedding, that is like my big fat Polish family. And so I have second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins. Like, it is so much to keep track of. But I'm like, and I'm getting invited to their weddings. I got invited to like 3 in the last year or 2. And they were they're all like an hour plus from the Twin Cities or whatever. And I was like, I haven't even seen you in the last year of my life or last 5 years and of your life. I don't even know your bride's name, your groom's name, whatever. I don't feel it's appropriate that I attend and come to your wedding just to come to your wedding. And I don't feel like I have to do that. So I was like, nope, I'm not going to make it. And some of the town weekends too, I was out of town. So it's like, okay, that's a blessing in disguise too. But I just am done with weddings for people that are not a part of my life. Like, and that's another thing too. I've also said this to Poiab. Like, if you never met my partner and, you know, I have a giant ass family, like, I'm not going to invite you to my wedding, you know. Only exception to that rule is like someone's +1 who has like good energy and isn't going to start shit or create drama. Because if you know Polish people, if you know, shit gets fucked up fast. And I don't want that around me. I don't want that energy. So there's also an entitlement attitude, at least in the Polish culture, of being invited. And how dare you? No, seriously.
And then he gets around. Why didn't you invite
family members? Have called my other family members and I'm like, I didn't get my wedding invite to your son's wedding or your daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
What is that? Is it coming? And then these Polish people are fucking liars, and they're like, oh, yeah, like, it's a very small wedding. We're not having that many people. And it's like, that's what you weren't. Just stop fucking lying and say they didn't want to invite you.
Yeah.
Because you are not a priority, or you were a jerk, or you're mean, or just call that fucking groomer bride.
Yeah.
So, mic drop.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Final thoughts or other thoughts?
Jackie, what do you think people should do if they are in this situation where they're like, do I go? Do I not? What do you think people should do?
Flip a coin. No, honestly, I would ask yourself the question of like, would this person, if you're not married, would they show up to your wedding? Have you seen this person in the last year? What's your relationship with them now currently?
Yeah.
Do they ask you about your life, your partner, your livelihood, the things that you've got going on for yourself? Because if they don't, red flag. I would also say, like, you know, are they inviting you to fill up a seat, or are they inviting you because they genuinely, truly want you there? I think you have to look at the relationship, and with every single person, it's different on that individual kind of level. But some weddings nowadays, like, they need to fill venues.
Yeah,
so I'm like, you're just not going to get me to come and give you money to pay for this to fill a seat. Like, I see through that shit. That detective energy in me comes out, and I'm like, this is dumb. No. So I would really ask those questions and think through all of them, because it's important. And honestly, don't feel shame. Don't feel guilt. Don't gaslight yourself. Don't question yourself or your motivations. And if someone does that to you or questions you in the process of it, or gaslights you or shames you, you should go. You really should. You should this. No. Tell that person, no, this is not right for me. That's it. Short, sweet, shameless, baby. You don't have to over-explain shit to nobody. Stay shameless, like, within yourself, and what is best for you, bro.
I love that. Mic drop, like you said.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Anything else?
No, I think this is a great conversation, and I'm glad we had it today. It sounds really taboo, but you know, there's a lot. It's summer, and there's a lot of weddings, and people, it's okay to look out for yourself. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to prioritize with everything that Jackie said, and be true to yourself. And you know, you got to meet your own needs first before you meet the bride and groom's needs.
Yes, don't put yourself in financial debt because of someone else's wedding.
Yes.
Don't. And if they're going to ask you to do that, what type of friend is that? Or family member at the end of the day?
Exactly.
So that's just what I think. And some people will still do that. So, I mean, you learn your lessons, how you want to learn them. If it's the hard way, you do that, boo. But if you're just like, this gave me the confidence and courage to say no, then I'm glad that this could at least help one person, hopefully, in this episode. One other question that I wanted to ask you that I thought of, like, have you ever dealt with, like, really shitty, hard weddings? Like, having to do a bunch of shit, and it's just like, God, what the fuck? This is ridiculous.
You know, culturally, I think Hmong weddings are very hard, where we work a lot physically. The women work really, really hard, where we do all the cooking, cleaning, everything. And I always dread it because we never get to enjoy it. We are literally running around, sweaty, hot, taking care of everybody. And I'm just not for that anymore. And I told myself that if I ever get hitched, the only thing people will be lifting is alcohol.
I want to go to that wedding.
Nobody's going to be cleaning. Nobody's going to do. Nobody's going to do anything because I am so sick and tired of, and I don't want to use the word slaving away, but we are so tired. It takes like 2-3 days to recover from all the aches and pains that I vow that if I ever get hitched, I will never have that kind of wedding. It's just I want people to come as guests and not to work the ass off. I want people to enjoy my wedding. I want people to enjoy my wedding. I want people to enjoy their time. I want it to be a fun time where it's not like, oh my God, it's her wedding. Oh, what are we going to do? And there's a lot of dread in that. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not ever going to do that. And luckily, if I ever do, I'm never going to do that because I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I can do that. I can provide a nice place for a wedding.
I love that you said that because it also brings up a point of another reflection question to like think about for people with the bodies, the aches, the pains, the everything.
Yes.
Think about your ability to do that. Think about your body. Think about your physical ability. Think about your financial ability. Think about your emotional ability. Think about your mental ability. And are you putting yourself in any type of risky situations if you're going to weddings that you're helping out with that maybe maybe, and I'm not saying these weddings that you were helping out with were traumatic or the people were energy vampires, but like that's seriously a consideration to really discern. Like, am I going to go and have fun, or am I going to go and dread it? And if you feel like you're going to go and dread it, just don't go, because the couple probably doesn't want you there at the end of the day anyway. Like, don't be a wet blanket on their special day either, and don't bring up drama on their special day either. I've had to tell people older than me in my family not to do that. I'm like, this is not about you. This is about this fucking couple getting married. So ruin their goddamn date because they've been waiting for this, and that's not fair to them. And you're a guest, and solve your problems elsewhere. Like, maybe grow. And maybe talk about conflict, not at someone's fucking wedding. Right. Okay, it's just not an appropriate place, and I don't like that word appropriate much. It feels appropriate in this context, though. Yeah. So, yes, I love that you said that about, like, I'm going to, have it be where I'm going to hire people, or this is the point where I'm at. Like, you're not going to work. I want you to enjoy it. Just show up. And show up. What a beautiful gift. Yes. And that's what it feels like then, because then people can focus on what the wedding is meant to be, the love, the vows, the couple, and really why you're all there, versus getting distracted in the hustle or the rat race of, I gotta go here, there, everywhere, and then you're like, and then you don't even feel like you enjoyed it. I know. How would you feel about if you had invited 500 people to a wedding and 460 people showed up? Mm-hmm. And that was your wedding. Would you love it?
Funny, 20 years ago, I probably would have. Yeah. Now, nope, I would not. It used to be about big, grandeur, things showing off. 20 years ago, at the age of 25, 26, I would have probably loved it. Now, I would hate it. I would just want 100, but my side of the family is really big. So, yeah, I'm all about small weddings now. Yeah. I'm more about like the meaning of it versus showing off.
Yeah. That was my parents' wedding.
And culturally, a lot of weddings are like that in some cultures. Yes. There's 500-600 people. You are inviting the 5th, 6th cousin who you've never seen, don't even know. And some cultures are like that.
Yeah. Well, and like my dad has, 5 sisters. My mom has 7 brothers, and Polish, big giant family on one side, and she was involved in the Polish community a lot. So there's all these other friends and people, and then you're also work colleagues. And my dad also coached as well outside of his job, and he also bartended, and he also was a sped teacher. So he was just so many people. Yeah. And whenever Carl meets somebody, he makes friends everywhere. So it's like they're like, we couldn't cut the list down, but they said. My mom said it was so fun and it was a blast, and they had an 11-piece band and everything like that. And then my dad was like, no one enjoys their wedding though. No one does. You're just on display. You're having to talk to everybody. And I'm like, if I get married, I'm going to say fuck that and rebel against it. And it's going to be your non-traditional fucking wedding. So I just wanted to ask that because I think it's funny to like see the reaction. So, it's not about quantity. It's about quality. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've asked this like 3 times. Final thoughts? Anything else?
Again, the entitlement, brides, grooms, please don't be entitled. So be entitled. Yes, do what is best for you.
Yes, I love that. And if you are a bride, a groom, a groom, a groom, a bride, and you aren't enjoying the process of planning this wedding or what's going on with your wedding, and that thought of nobody enjoys their own wedding, I really highly encourage you, have fun with it, soak it in, let go of the stupid bullshit that nobody cares about when they come to a wedding. Like, yeah, our decoration's cute. Sure, but do people actually give a shit about all that dumb stuff? No, they care about what am I eating, what am I drinking, and where's the dance floor, and
is there dessert?
And I care about the vows. Are there the after snacks and shit? But I care about the vows and when people write them. I truly love that at weddings because it's what you're meant to be doing there. So just remember, you don't have to put pressure on yourself to have the perfect wedding or anything like that either, and just really do what's best for you and be mindful of any types of entitlement attitudes, because you could also be experiencing that from your family and friends. Yeah. And that could then, be projected onto your wedding parties, which again is not going to be fun with the wedding then at the end of the day. So This is the Shameless Truth. Make sure to like this video and comment something supportive in the comments below. Let us know how you're feeling about this. If you have any questions for Pai and I, definitely drop them below, and we can definitely get to them in another episode if we feel called to. And make sure to hit subscribe because we got a lot more juicy content in store for you. So, bye.
Own it.
And stay shameless.